The other day, I did a video saying I can't believe that in an Ipsos poll, the Keir Starmer came out as the worst Prime Minister since the 1970s. I noted that the left don't like him. I noted that the right don't like him. But I would still argue that he's not the worst Prime Minister. And now today, we get the result of the second part of the COVID inquiry. And we find out that if Boris Johnson had been a serious Prime Minister, we could have saved 23,000 lives. And doesn't it make you wonder how we ended up with such an imbecile in charge of the country at such a critical time? For anybody that was following the world news back in early 2020, in fact in late 2019, you would have seen how COVID was really growing and multiplying over in China. And you would have thought, wouldn't you, that the government would have had some sort of idea what was going on. Like, as the owner of a very small business back then, even I was making plans come January 2020. By February 2020, I was already trying to work out how to run a college online because it seemed really clear that we were heading towards a lockdown. But it also seemed really clear, didn't it, that if we'd locked down sooner and locked down harder, then actually we wouldn't have had to lock down for quite so long, which was a point that Keir Starmer kept making throughout the pandemic. And I think it's fascinating how that got rewritten into people saying, well, thank goodness Keir Starmer wasn't in charge because we would have been locked down for longer. But actually, no, we would have been locked down for shorter and at least 23,000 lives would have been saved. Children wouldn't have been out of school for so long. People wouldn't have been losing their businesses. Because whether you love him or hate him, he is a grown-up that thinks about things. He has got critical thinking skills. But surely the biggest takeaway of all from that inquiry is that we should stop putting establishment posh boys that haven't got a bloody clue how to do anything, but whose entitlement and whose affability has somehow landed them in the top job in the country. Because there seems to be no doubt amongst the scientists that we will have another pandemic. We live in a world now where people can just fly anywhere, which means viruses can just go anywhere. So it is going to happen again. And imagine if it happens with somebody like Farage in charge. He'd make Boris look like the boy genius that saved loads of lives. I mean, I know I keep banging on about this, but I really don't understand why anybody could possibly think that Nigel Farage was clever or had any critical thinking skills. He's never, ever over any of the details. All he can ever say is immigration. Farage that plans to surround himself in government with his mates. Could you imagine? I don't know why I'm laughing. It'd be tragic. Lee Anderson, Sarah Puchin, Deputy Dick, Zia, all sat round the cabinet table trying to work out how to manage something like a pandemic. Give me a dull, boring, grey Prime Minister any day of the week. But a Prime Minister who's up on the detail and a Prime Minister that will always put the people first, as opposed to Mr. Popular, Mr. Populist, who doesn't give a shit about the people because he's just got enough money to do whatever he wants anyway. The populist who might have a good education, but actually hasn't got the brain power to do what's required to think in such a meta way over something that is so huge. Mind you, saying that, there are still people that think Boris Johnson is a brilliant PM. Mind you, there are people that still think Liz Truss was brilliant as well. The world has truly gone bonkers, hasn't it? Anyway, as you were.